thought I'd make a video on this about my got to go to a Texas workforce orientation class for tuition, or they're going to explain some of the tuition costs that they pay for. I'm not on unemployment. They didn't grant me, and every time I've been in Texas, they now just denied me, and it's impossible to get unemployment benefits payments. But there's other benefits that unemployment gives, which is the unemployment benefits it gives is like tuition or a few other benefits, maybe food discounts. I'm not exactly sure, but nothing that I remember I qualified for, other than I didn't know that they all had a tuition grant or Pell Grant. I'm not sure exactly, but they're going to explain that what schools, because there's certain schools that accept the WIOA, which is like the Texas Workforce Commission, and if they work with them, if they either work with them or they have some sort of connection with them, then they get I'm able to use the benefits on them to pay for my school. So I have to go there. Here I'd be there at 2 o'clock. It's for an hour and a half, and near I think the Galleria or North Park Mall. And so I'm gonna go there and listen to what they have to say, because I've already been granted from Richland College, the school. One of the other program coordinators is supposed to now contact me over the next 2 or 3 weeks, details about the CNA classes. So, but I think it's important because I think that because there's only a certain list of names that they give of career choices or it's classes you can take, because they're not credited courses. But there's a possibility that since it's Texas Workforce, that there may be an exterior of a company or school that accepts WA that has a class that Richland College doesn't offer, maybe a medical class or something. So it's good just to be able to go there and find out. But there's something else more important I want to talk about. My biological father, who's named Hector, I don't know if he's still alive. I don't think he is. There's been suggestions that he is alive, but I don't really put much thought to it. I just know that I'm not connected to him really, other than being biological and being named after him. But I wanted to say something about Mikayla and her mother. Now I don't know if this is true. This could have just been someone else, but when I was probably this is whenever I came across Mikayla and her mother. Now you gotta understand, I don't know anything about my own sister Mikayla. I don't know anything about her. I don't know what she did. I don't know what she does for work. I'm basically just getting hunches or guesses by what little information that I am getting, to be able to then put together something and say, oh, okay, this is what she probably. So far my assumption is she works in real estate. The other one, but I want to talk about where I think I saw her. On the corner of Forest Lane, there's a Brahms nearby. There's a library nearby. It's right around the corner from the Forest Hill Library, but it's at the Forest Hill. What is it? I can't remember what the name of this intersection is, but it's not far from here. It's a couple of miles, but it's near the Forest Hill Library, literally at that stoplight. And at that stoplight, there used to be like a gymnast place, and I don't know if I remember seeing Mikayla or if I remember seeing her mother, but I remember walking. And I don't know why I was going to this gymnastic place for whatever reason, but I happened to be walking and I thought I saw Mikayla, and I saw her mother and Mikayla walk right past me, or like they were kind of moving so they really didn't get to take a look at me, but maybe could have gotten a glance because they were kind of doing their own thing and there wasn't anybody who was at the parking lot. And they walked right past by me, and I remember turning around, and I think her mother may have taken a look at me and knew who I was. And she said, she was turning around to say, "Come here, Mikayla." And she said my sister's name, Mikayla. So I don't know and she was coming out of a gym, a gymnast, a gymnastic gym. So I don't know if this is true. I would go ahead, you know, I don't know if she ever did. It could have been her, but I assume that if it was her, she was in gymnastics. But I don't know. It could have been something else. It could have been someone else. To me, it's really just vague. It really is vague. It's like a 50-50, 40% maybe it was her. But I just remember her turning around and said, "Come here, Mikayla." And I remember her mother, I want to say, looked at me. She just kept on walking. And she just kind of like mind her own business. Like she just, she has to mind her own business. And it wasn't like in the sense of like hatred. I think if that was her and it was Mikayla and she was in gymnastics and it was her coming out of practice, then I'm thinking that, well, because my mother didn't want to talk to Mikayla's mother anymore, and it had nothing to do with it. It was just a form of survival. That she knew that it was probably best to not associate with me or my mother or have anything to do with it, because my biological father was no longer in the picture in mine or Mikayla's life. Because I talked about this before. Mikayla showed up at Chris Dotson's house apartment many years ago, and literally as I was pulling up with Daniel Box, she was getting in the car with someone else. I had no idea who she was, and she was with some white girl, blonde girl. But I remember her. She smoked a joint or took a couple hits off of weed, and it was like our first couple times ever smoking weed with Chris Dotson. And Chris Dotson, I talked about this, is the one that told me as soon as I showed up. He goes, "Hey, there was a girl said that she had a brother named Hector," and I told her, I was like, "I know a guy named Hector." He goes, "He's from Carrollton too," because she said that Mikayla had told Chris Dotson that she just knew that she had a half brother named Hector that lived in Carrollton. And I mean, the coincidence of something like that happened is pretty. I mean, out of all hundreds of people, because out of hundreds of people, of all the connections that could have been going on, she showed up to Chris Dotson's house. I mean, and I remember Chris Dotson is the one that told me this. Chris Dotson told me that my biological father was just now getting out of prison, or was going to get out of prison soon, or had just gotten out of prison. And I remember Chris Dawson was thinking, and I don't know if he told me this or not. I don't know if he told her this, or I don't think he told her, but he told me this. And he goes, "Yeah, I don't think it's probably a good time for her to." She said that her dad was just getting out of prison, or just about to get out of prison, or just got out of prison, and being in prison for several years. And she said that, and he was just kind of playing video games in his room, and he was like, "Yes," and he was kind of talking, not to me necessarily, it was just me and Daniel in the room, and he's looking at the TV. He goes, "Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. Your dad getting out of prison, you're smoking weed, and he was kind of giggling about it, which is a great common sense of clarity, obviously, and but anyway, I thought I would say something about that. So I don't know if that was Mikayla. It could have been. I want to say I remember that she took a quick glance and just kind of looked away and just kept on walking. And she just kind of reached out to Mikayla. "Come here, Mikayla. Come on." And I don't think they could have took a real clear look at me, because she was kind of having her purse and kind of walking out the door, and probably 20 feet out the door. And it was right at that corner. It was right, it used to be a fitness center. Then it turned into a gymnastic center, and now it's like, I don't know what it is. I think it's like a furniture store. I don't know what it is, but it's not. I don't think it's a gym anymore. If it's not a gymnastic place anymore. But you'd be able to find out if you ask her. So.